What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Sports Talk 49. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, viewers of all ages, I've got a special guest today, Super Bowl 37 champion, Brad Johnson. And I can't bring in Brad without giving him a proper introduction.
Let's get ready to rumble!
So let's just bring Brad on anyway. Brad, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Blake. Appreciate you having me on the show, man. Look forward to it, and we'll have a blast here.
Absolutely, Brad. As always, there's a couple things I wanted to bring out, about you. I know you talked to Kyle earlier. I love Kyle. He got his Bucko Brews on there, Bucko Brews going on. Before we go into that, I wanted to say, is he trying to get you a sponsorship with a beer company? Because I heard you mention Coors Light. You threw in the hard seltzer in there. I said, oh, is Brad trying to get a beer sponsorship here?
No, he actually caught me off guard. But, yeah, if he asked the question, I was going to give him the answer. So had a few of them in my time. So. But no, it caught me off guard when he asked it, and so we had a little fun with it too.
I know, yeah. Kyle's a great guy. His dad is Outkicked, covered the Buccaneers for a very, very long time. So I love both of those guys. Those guys are awesome. Learned so much from Al. Before we get into everything, I always want to make sure I get this out of the way, but I want to get it out there. Tell everybody about you got charity and stuff you got going on. I know you told Kyle you got gear and all that stuff. Tell everybody where they can find that and be a part of all that.
Yeah. Real quick on Twitter and Instagram, it's the same thing. It's Brad_Johnson_14. And then on TikTok, it's Big Bad Brad 14. And basically on TikTok, I've made a lot of trick shots and kind of got a little crazy with it and put it out there on social media and just had some silly fun with it. But we're going to do a little merchandise with it, hats and T-shirts kind of thing. And I'm going to blast it out pretty soon. So it'll be hats and T-shirts, and all the money will go to a charity called Beyond All Borders, and it's up in North Carolina. It's where I grew up in Black Mountain, North Carolina. So we've had a lot of fun with it. I'll blast it out there, but everybody can get on the TikTok channel, Big Bad Brad 14, and you'll kind of get some laughter out of it.
Absolutely, and I'll make sure to post that everywhere for you and help you out the best I can to get that out there, because any causes are always awesome. I'm always the first person to jump out there and help anybody that wants to do something to give back to the communities and all that. So I'm with you on that. And you said you said Rocky Mount, North Carolina?
No, I grew up in Black Mount, North Carolina.
Black Mount. I actually grew up in Fayetteville, okay. North Carolina. Grew up right out there near Fort Bragg.
Right. That was
high school.
I was up in the mountains. So, but live in Athens, Georgia now. And my wife Nikki and I have 2 kids, Max and Jake, and coaching a little high school football on the side and staying busy that way.
Absolutely. We'll talk about Max soon as well. Playing out there at LSU, rocking the 14. Was that planned, or did he pick 14? Did you kind of push him towards rocking your number?
It's funny. You see, like moms sometimes with they have a couple of girls that dress just like them, So, but Max, when he played youth baseball and little league baseball and youth football and all his basketball, he always had the number 14. So that was his number. He's fortunate enough that he's able to keep it all these years from, age 8 all the way to 20 now at LSU. So it's kind of cool that he's kind of kept the number on. But he's kind of blazing his own path, and he's got his own number, even though we kind of look the same. He's a lefty, but I'm a righty.
That is true. You guys do one is a lefty, one is a righty, and also your other son as well is committed over there. I know he can't rock 14. Does he already have a number planned out he's going to wear over there?
Yeah, Jake's he's a tight end. He's a senior this year. He's committed to LSU. Should report in January. So his number's always been number 9. It's a family number. My wife Nikki, she played volleyball at South Florida, and brother-in-law Mark Rick, he rocked number 9 at University of Miami. But the little bit of the issue taking place right now, there's a guy named Joe Burrow about a year and a half ago. He won the Heisman. They probably put a statue up. He wore number 9. So I don't know what Jake's going to wear. I think we're leaning towards number 8 right now.
Okay. It's not a bad number. I think another tight end that your son Max played against and actually beat in a highly contested game, Florida. I think Kyle Pitts Kyle
Yeah.
Pitts is wearing number 8 out there in Atlanta now. These players can wear single numbers. What do you think about that? The players be able to wear single numbers on offense. Does that, you know what? Tom Brady is kind of adamant about it when it first came out. He's like, he don't like it. He's like, why not put offensive linemen in no numbers and things like that? What's your opinion on that?
I'm kind of a traditional guy, especially offensively. You kind of see certain numbers, like they really mean something. Like linebackers' numbers are in the 50s, and
right.
Your tight ends' numbers are in the 80s, kind of thing, and your offensive linemen in the 50s, 60s, 70s. But picking out certain players on defense, it kind of does matter. So, but you just got to get used to it. It changes. We're all in times of change right now. So, but it's definitely different. And but kind of anybody, whatever floats people's boats now, So
it does seem kind of odd now. I guess when you're playing like Tom Brady for 20 years, it's been done one way for so long. Now you flip the script a little bit. Now you got to pay attention to all numbers. I guess I'm sure Tom Brady's already doing it. Got to really study game tape and know where guys are, so the numbers really don't make a difference. I guess it's just a added variable to game prepping into games. I'm sure you know about all about that as far as preparing for games, where guys are going to be, what tendencies and things like that, what's going to go on. So I guess it's just an added step for Tom Brady, which I'm sure he can take, because the guy, as you said before, he's been to 10 Super Bowls and have won 7. So I'm sure it's no obstacle he can get over. Yeah, he'll figure it out. Champions always do, right?
That's right.
And speaking of champions, there's some, like I said, we want to have some fun today. There's some stuff I wanted to pick out when I think about you. And when I have arguments about people, how people always talk, do you guys belong in the Ring of Honors and things like that? I'm like, well, you need to put some respect on Brad Johnson's name. I was like, because this guy has won everywhere he's went. He said it was 72 and 53 is an overall record. I said, you've won with Minnesota. I said, you've won with Washington football team. Can't say the other name now. Washington. And, you played out there in Dallas. And I mean, you've won everywhere you've been. And I think it goes undervalued, because when you mention the name Brad Johnson, the only thing that comes out with that is winning the Super Bowl 37. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with that being mentioned with that. But you've won everywhere you've been, and you're a very competitive guy. You're a very savvy guy. Like, you hit a lot of key things, like on Kyle's show. You talk about you're a 2-sport athlete, basketball, which is really common now in the NFL, especially coming with tight ends playing it. But you were a quarterback, and you play back. What by the way, what position did you play? Would you play, the 1, the 2?
I was really more of a natural 3. And then in high school, I was 3A player of the year in North Carolina coming out of high school. Scored 2,392 points. They played All-American in football, all those kind of things. And college basketball, I ended up being more of a 2.
Okay.
I was probably a little bit out of position, so I was more of a natural 3.
Okay. I said, do you think you could fit in today's NBA with the most shooting threes, or was you more of an in the paint kind of guy?
I could shoot with those guys. There's no doubt about that. I can shoot with them right now. But as far as playing the position, no, I couldn't. No, that wasn't my game. That's why I ended up choosing to go the route of football. I don't know if we're going to talk about it, but in the recruiting process, I actually wanted to go to Georgia Tech, play for a guy named Bobby Crimmins. Bobby said, "Hey, Brad, I got this guy named Dennis Scott coming in here," and he ended up having an 11-year NBA career. And so, but I was grateful to Coach Crimmins that he said, "Brad, what do you think you got most potential in?" And I felt like I was a late bloomer in football, but I felt like I had more potential. But so Dennis Scott changed my life, and he doesn't even know me. But Bobby Crimmins in the recruiting process, he's pretty wise to kind of help me out along the way to pick what's best for me.
And speaking of great coaches, of course, you were coached by the late Bobby Bowden, a guy who's touched so many lives. Like it's just unaccountable. What can you say is your greatest moment with Bobby Bowden?
Yeah, I mean, his legacy was at his funeral about 2 weeks ago. And he coached at Florida State for 34 years. I think a man of class, wisdom, humility, innovator, entertainer, funny, preacher that coached football. He put Florida State on the map on a national stage. He was, Florida State won 14 years of being top 4. It's incredible feat what took place. But in all those things, in 2013, he was they named the field Bobby Bowden Field, and I really think they're crazy. They should name it, Bill Walker Bobby Bowden Stadium also. But
I like that.
They should, I think. I mean, hopefully they do that. But he had 377 wins. In 2013, they named the field Bobby Bowden Field. Him and his wife, Ann, they walked out from the goalpost out of the 50-yard line. We probably had about 400 players that were there in his honor that day. And we weren't talking about the 377 wins, the 2 national championships. We're talking about more the impact he had on us as far as how we've now become coaches, how we've become fathers, how we've become leaders in our communities, and the impact he had on us. So it's really not just us; it's really become generational. And he shared his faith with all. He's just a man of class and a lot of wisdom.
Absolutely. I'm just going to sum what you just said in a smaller, in a shorter version. He helped coach men, not just football players. He helped coach men. And as you just said, he made a generational thing. He passed his teachings on to you guys. Now you guys are fathers, you guys are coaches and things like that. So I just, I'm a Tar Heel fan myself, but I've always respected Bobby Bowden and the impact he's had on everybody. As a matter of fact, we were talking about it not too long ago with Levante David's agent, Ron Butler, over there at Agency One. And he told me when he was coaching high school, Bobby Bowden came to recruit some of his players. Now, you might agree what he said to this. What he said when Bobby came in a room, he had an aura when he came in. It was something about that man that gravitated you to him, and you hung on every word he said. You can agree with that, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he just, he was a pretty simple and to the point. He just had a lot of wisdom about him. Respect is the word I would use with him, and pretty incredible to say that he was my college coach, And I give a lot of credit. I'll be honest with you, like my career doesn't really go that well at Florida State. It really didn't. But when I look back at it, I said, I respected the process. I respected him and the way he handled all of us. And I think about so many players that we had on that team where we had 9 running backs in the room at one time. And somehow they all stayed. We had Sammy Smith, Dexter Carter, Victor Floyd, Amp Lee, Edgar Bennett, Chris Parker, Paul Moore. I don't know. I'm trying to think who else. Marion Butts. They moved Marion Butts from fullback to linebacker.
Right. He switched
and
spots.
2 years later, he leads the AFC in rushing. Like, think about how many guys were transferred by then. In our room, we had Charlie Ward, Chris Winkie, Casey Weldon, Pierre Tom Willis, Danny McManus, Chip Ferguson. I mean, all these guys won bowls, national championships. None of us transferred. You want to be a part of the program. You respect the program. That's who Bobby Bowden was.
Definitely that. And you definitely don't get kids like that today. Everybody thinks everything should be handed to them, and they rather not earn their spot. They rather transfer. But that's a whole nother conversation entirely. But you did mention Charlie Ward, who I thought was kind of intricate to what we talked about earlier, talking about 2 sport guys, choosing one sport or the other. Great athlete in football, chose basketball. Great career at the NBA. I just, and then you guys had all the talent on there. And I had to bring up something to you when I saw you mentioned on Kyle's show when you talking about you didn't throw at Dion. So you threw at Tracy. So you threw at Tracy a lot. Tracy Sanders, who's also a coach right out here at coaching from Manatee High School out here, because both had Tracy Sanders and Tracy Sanders and Deion Sanders both in that secondary. So I'm sure Tracy gave you some hard times as well, because he's got to always try to he always try to one up Deion. How was that?
Competitive. I mean, Tracy Sanders, Deion Sanders, Leroy Butler, Martin Mayhew, Dedrick Dodge. I mean, the field was loaded with studs, with players. But we're all competing. Whether it's trash talking or whether it's competing, like it was, how good can we be? You know what I mean?
Right.
But you had to earn it, is what I remember. And we always talked about practices were a lot tougher than games a lot of times. And that's the reason why you had so many great teams there at Florida State during that time. And so many guys end up being pros and all the above. But I remember, it's just, you just look forward to those days on the practice field. and you had to earn your playing time. And that was the greatness of it. You had to earn it, and be thankful for those opportunities.
And I'm sure you teach your players that when you coach down there as well, is about earning things and not looking to have things handed to you, because it feels much better to have earned that spot or to earn whatever rewards you get out of that, because
Right.
you worked for it. Everything you did work for, instead of trying to run somewhere else because you think the grass is greener on the other side. So I definitely salute you for definitely passing down the teachings that Bobby Bowden gave to you, and now you give it to the next generation, your kids and other people's children that you coach. But I just wanted to touch on Bobby Bowden. Just had to show some respect, because that's a legend in the game, and I got to show respect to that. But let's get back to the NFL here a little bit. So I pulled up some funny things. Well, the one was funny, and some two of these. When I think about your career, these things come up.
There. On 30.
Oh, nope, wrong one. Sorry. This throw here was just insane in that NFC Championship game against the Philadelphia Eagles. What was going on in your mind in that play when you threw that ball to Joe Juravicius in the corner? Did you think he got his feet in?
Yeah. The play was called weak right west 72 shake wide drive. And I mean, Joe's a big dude. He's 6'4", and I was almost – it was either Joe or throw it out of bounds. And he had great skill set. I mean, Joe could play basketball. I think he went to Penn State. They actually tried to talk him into playing on the volleyball team there. And I was kind of maybe throwing the ball away, and everybody's reaching. He kind of was able to toe tap it,
I think, you put it in a good location. You put it back where only he could get it, where it's going out of bounds. But like you said, Joe Juravicius had a skill set. A lot of people didn't give him a lot of credit for it. They just thought he was a slow guy, couldn't really get too much separation. But when you put the ball in a place where he can gravitate to it and get his what do they call it now, wingspan up, his catch radius up. He had a great catch radius at that time, and he just made a great play on that throw, which I remember that play like it was yesterday.
Joe was our X factor for us. Obviously, we had Keyshawn Johnson and Keem McCardell, phenomenal players. But Joe, he kind of went to a Super Bowl with the New York Giants. And then after he left us, he wasn't any good with us. And people are booing him out of town. He kind of went to a Super Bowl in Seattle, too. So,
yes.
People got to be careful what they say or think sometimes. But Joe was the X factor, because you bring him in on nickel guys. Big dude, physical, strong, competitive, loved to compete. Unbelievable career.
Absolutely. And you said he wasn't a guy that you sought after that said they had just great intangibles. He was a football player. Football player. And like you said, big body. You could throw up balls to him and know it's either he's going to get it or he's not going to get it, because the defender's not going to muscle him to get it. Here's another play. You're speaking to Joe Juravicius and plays he makes that just makes you scratch your head, and how he makes these plays. I want to hear what you thought on this play when this happened. Second.
Yeah. Phenomenal play. Play was called south left Q8, basically a sprint right option. And when I threw the ball, they were in a blitz deal coming. And you can see the guy coming off the edge. And then basically, I was lucky the ball didn't get picked off and ran back 99 yards. And that's where I was talking about Joe. Like, he played volleyball in college. He hit the ball from behind and patted up to himself, then flipped his head and made that catch. I mean, that's unique. It's a unique skill set that he has. And Joe would talk a little trash too. So
Joe talk trash? I thought for sure Joe would be a guy that doesn't say anything, just gets the job done with his lunch pail and goes to work and gets out of there.
Yeah, he would back it up.
I mean, clearly, because that's an amazing play right there. It's just amazing. It's one of those ones where it goes, oh no, oh yeah. One of those ones where it's just a roller coaster of emotions that happens right there. So there's one more play I want to show you that I thought was hilarious, and I'm sure you guys had a lot of fun out of it, and it includes your buddy Warren Sapp. Did you teach him that dance move, Brad? I think you had something. The rumor has it that you told him to do that in the end zone.
That was when the Beyonce thing was taking place. A place called Green Right Close, 14 blast, U corner. Warren, he actually went to the University of Miami as a tight end.
Correct.
And so he had great hands. And I don't know if he's a tight end at the pro level, but he actually caught 2 or 3 touchdown passes. And so it's pretty cool, but he can make those plays, He's Hall of Famer.
Yes, he is. He's Hall of Fame as a defensive, not a tight end, unfortunately.
Right.
I think in that same season you threw him one where it was wide open. He tipped him to himself, almost like Joey, and then had to make a diving catch in the end zone where he was all alone. But yeah, like you said, Warren came into Miami as a tight end and then switched to defensive tackle. Worked out for him. He's Hall of Famer, and the rest is history. So when I pull those plays up and I see you do a lot of those sprint draw rights and open bootlegs to the far side, I had to pull this play up because this reminded me of you, as we mentioned your son Max earlier. That's the first thing I thought when I saw this.
On 3rd and goal with a man right in his face, Johnson.
That looks like you throwing to the corner of the end zone in your days in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, we had a lot of games in the swamp when I went to school at Florida State. And then so Max obviously chose LSU. And then playing in the swamp, they were 23.5-point underdogs and got a chance to play. And won his last 2 games this season, beat Florida. Florida's trying to win the national championship, and the quarterback was trying to win the Heisman. And they got knocked out. And then the next week they beat Ole Miss on the shootout game. And so just fortunately, he got a chance to play,
No, absolutely. And a lot of people didn't even realize that was your son playing. They saw Johnson and they saw 14 playing. I'm like, that's Brad Johnson's son out there, right? Like, really? Right. I'm like, yes, that's Brad Johnson's son, Max Johnson, coming out there, showcasing his skill out there and got a big win against, as you mentioned on Kyle's show. Ironically, we were talking Kyle Trask. He ends up in Tampa Bay, a guy that's a competitor, a guy that was overlooked. A guy that's he wants to win and he wants to do everything right to get better. His preseason game, his first 2 preseason games weren't too hot. You know how the fans are here in Tampa Bay. They're really hard on you. They want to see winner. Yeah, I'm sure they're hard on folks here, but it's a process of things. You're not just gonna come out lighting it up. It's a process, and he's got a great teacher in Tom Brady to learn from, and BA and Byron Leftwich and the great coaching staff that they have all around. I know you talked about Kyle before. I think he might have a future here in Tampa Bay. I mean, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I actually watched Kyle maybe 5 years ago. He went to University of Florida in a summer thing called the I think it's Gator Night or Swamp Night or something, a recruiting process, and I saw him get offered that night, and just kind of kept up his career. Obviously, he's with De'Aaron King and high school in Texas, and got a chance to go be a backup at Florida. It was behind Felipe Franks, and no one gave him a chance, And then somebody got hurt. Felipe got hurt, and he got his chance, and he ran off with it. He was ready for his moment, and great leader. He's accurate with the ball, makes great decisions, and had a great career at University of Florida. And excited. I know Tampa's excited about him, and the coaching staff and all that kind of stuff. So he's got a great demeanor about him. I know he's a tough kid, and you got to be ready for his moment. You never know; it can be game 1 he's playing. So, but it's going to be fun just to watch his career, and got to be ready for when that time comes.
Absolutely. When duty calls, you got to deliver because you never know when it comes. I want to make sure I didn't forget this one. We talked about, because you're coaching high school football, and we talked about coaching football all around, or football period. I want to say this to you because I thought it was important. How important do you think high school sports, not just football, is to youth all over, especially, in some urban cities and all over? How important do you think? Because I looked at last year when football was away, you had a lot of incarcerations, teen pregnancies, dropouts, and all those things like that, because you don't have that male figure now coaching your, or even female figure. It could be either one. Either one could give positivity to anybody. How important is that to you that have that back from not having it last year?
Yeah, COVID made us all sit back and I remember one time we didn't have a place to even go. Kids didn't have a place to go work out. Couldn't get on the field. Tom Brady got kicked off the Tampa field.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you couldn't. There was no place to go run. You're stuck at your house. But sports are a big part of people's lives, and you get to be a part of a team. You get to be a part of accountability. Something to work at, and I think kids make better grades when they are playing sports. I think it keeps them, it just keeps you more focused and those kind of things. And so, I think being a part of clubs, whether it's sports or not, I think that's being involved in something is a big deal. But there are a lot of you had the kids, and especially in California, the pandemic where life shut down out there.
Yes,
we kept going in Georgia and Florida, and we kept moving where kids things were taken away from them. So sometimes it has to be done, and it makes you feel more grateful for having workouts or gyms or teams to be a part of. So I'm glad we're kind of moving on a little bit in life now. I'm glad the SEC last year. I'm glad the NFL and the ACC jumped on board first, and then the rest of the world kind of said, well, we'll play too. And have to deal with cancellations. We'll deal with them. But I'm glad it's like the Olympics. They came back. We did it in 2021, even though we had to move back a year. So I think sports are a huge deal.
Absolutely. Like you said, it's being a part of something. A lot of people, always want to say, oh, you're only doing it for sports. Well, if that's their why to get grades, why does it matter? I said, if that's the reason why somebody wants to push themselves to be better because of sports, because they don't want to let their teammate, their coach down or whatever, that's a good thing. And I think it keeps a lot of people and a lot of people's home lives. I'm sure coaching, a lot of people's home lives aren't as glamorous as you might think it is. That's their getaway, going to school and going to play a sport that they love to do. That's their getaway to keep them sane. We as adults have those. We have those things we have to get away from to deal with life and deal with the word that goes on now is mental health is a thing that comes out more and more, and it is important. You should know more than anybody, especially with all the CTE things going on now. All these guys, having issues later on down the career. I think it's very important. I'm gonna get you out of here, Brad. But I want to ask you this one: which team do you think is better, 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the 2020?
We're the first ones to do it. Yeah, we're the first ones to do it. Both teams are got Hall of Famers. Both teams had Pro Bowlers. Both teams had legends. So Tampa hadn't sniffed those playoffs in 18 years. So you can fight, debate over it, but both teams had great teams, very similar years, to be honest with you. Great defenses. Didn't turn the ball over offensively.
No.
First year, both teams were Brady in the first year of his system. We're in the first year of the system with Gruden. So very, very
no off season too.
To be honest with you,
and no off season due to COVID. No preseason games, and I think that's important for a lot of those young guys because pretty much it's like a redshirt year for a lot of those guys that didn't get those preseason games, and now you're getting them. Granted, it's three preseason games in 17 weeks. How do you feel about the 17-week thing? Do you think that's a good thing, dropping a preseason game and playing 17 weeks?
A lot of games, a lot more money for those guys. Another week, pay week. The 4 preseason games is probably a little much. I'll be honest with you. It's a little much. I think you could do it definitely 3 games like they're doing. You could probably do it in 2. But I think where they've gotten smarter is not beating the guys up so much in practice. The training camp days it's not the double days that it used to be. It was hard practices. The off season wasn't it's not quite as strenuous. The collective bargaining agreement, they've made a lot of deals, and I think it'll extend guys' careers. It's probably smarter. Now they're doing a lot more walkthroughs. There's more protocols with injuries, with concussions, and a lot of those things. The biggest deal when you get a 17-game roster now, you got to expand the rosters. I still think they do a poor job as far as making an extra spot for the quarterback. A lot of teams keep 2 on the roster.
Right.
I think if you're they talk about developing kids, they need at least keep 3 on the roster, I think.
I agree. You make a good point because if that's one of the, not going to say one of, let me say this, that is the most important job on the field. Why wouldn't you have more spots for the most important job on the field? That's a good point, Brad. You make a good argument.
They can do these other leagues, XFL and World Leagues, and you can do those things, but you got to be in your system. That's the deal. You got to be in your system. You can't be jumping from system to system to system and feel like you're going to be developed. So, that's the difference. But so hopefully they can give those guys and let the younger guys come in for more off-season work. I think that would be beneficial for those, especially the young quarterbacks.
When you're talking about development of a player and jumping from system to system, the first name that comes to my mind is Alex Smith. Changed so many coordinators out in San Francisco, finally got some stability, going from Harbaugh to Andy Reid, and career just totally jumped. You totally forget about those dumpster years in San Francisco and the better half of his year, and then overcoming what he overcame in Washington with the horrific leg injury. That's the first thing that comes to my mind when you talk about system. I'm sure there's plenty other examples, but you spiked that right on the head with that one, especially development of players. And that's the thing that a lot of fans don't understand. They think you just come in and you play and then it just works out like that. It doesn't always work out that. Sometimes puzzle pieces don't fit in every equation that you're giving it to. It doesn't always work like that. That's why players follow coaches and coaches try to get guys that they know that fits their system and their schemes and things like that. But everybody's not in the analytics and things like that, looking at game tape like I am. So I just try my best to try to educate people on stuff like that. I appreciate your time, Brad. We're at the 30-minute mark. I'm gonna get you out of here. I know you got things to do. Once before you get out of here, plug in everything you got going on and let them know where they can find all your stuff.
Yeah, basically on Instagram and Twitter, it's Brad_Johnson_14, and then TikTok, it's Big Bad Brad 14. You'll see some crazy videos and trick shots, and we're gonna sell a lot of merchandise and give it to charity. And our two charities are Evelyn Foundation and Beyond Our Borders.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys check that out. I'm going to post a link in the description box. I'm going to probably do something nice for Brad too for this videos and try to piece something together so you guys know where to find this stuff at and contribute. I'm actually surprised you're not wearing the hat in the video, Brad. I love that. I love that hat that you do when you put a little hat down. I'm surprised you're not wearing that hat.
Got a lot of sweat in that hat now. A lot of sweat.
Blood, sweat, and tears. Well, everybody, I'm Blake Anthony, and this is the great Super Bowl 37 Brad Johnson, and we're getting out of here. Appreciate you guys checking this out, and see you next time.